Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, if I'm 1 minute late, it's only because I had a mildly stressful morning. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. I am an idiot. Behold!
Car started smoking. We just tried to change the oil.
It's smoking more now.
That is smoking. It's smoking a lot.
Imagine we catch it blowing up. Like,
Come save us.
Please. We need help. Call the tow truck.
Okay, we'll keep you guys updated.
we almost lost the Starbucks, guys.
Yeah, we almost lost.
We saved it. He's asking ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I wasn't asking I might have been just double checking something on the internet. What happens if you forget to put the gas cap back, not the gas cap, sorry, the oil cap back on the oil when you change, not even change it, when you top it off because you had a little low oil? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm an idiot. And it's not that I'm an idiot, it's just that I have a very short attention span. So in the time that I took off the oil cap to top off the oil because it was running a little low and I was going to take it to Jiffy Lube sometime this week, the kid who's watching is like, hey, how do you check the oil levels? Like, oh, you take this little stick and you stick it down and then you rub it off and then you stick it back down and then you see if the oil stain is somewhere in that little dotted section where it says adequate. Below, too low, above, too high. Then I forget to put the thing back on the top. And then we're driving and we noticed there was an error sign. It said like start, stop, error code. I was like, fair, I'll just get to Jiffy Lube now anyhow. And then as we're driving, we're like, there's smoke coming off the hood of the car. And it wasn't a seized engine, Nick Sortor. I saw your tweet. It was just oil splashing everywhere under the hood of the car on the engine components. Pulled over, wiped it down, let it cool off, went to Jiffy Lube, and they saved my butt. So that's what I did this morning. Good afternoon, everybody. How goes the battle? Viva Frei, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler. We are... it's another one of those days, you know, like in between the show yesterday, which was exceptionally at noon because I had a kid's birthday party. You want to talk about stress? Like 15, 12-year-old kids jumping around a community pool and you're like making sure people don't die. I think it was Louis C.K. had a good bit. He's like, you know, your role as a father is just to make sure your kids don't die. Don't get injured. Nobody's jumping in pools. Nobody's pushing in pools. That's what I've been doing. And it's summer, and the kids go back to school sooner than later. And in between yesterday's show and today, will there be stuff to talk about? There will be stuff to talk about, people. If you don't know who I am, David Feucht. I ran for federal office in Canada before I ran from Canada. And some of you might call me a coward, a traitor, a derelict, whatever. I can derelict my... We'll finish that sentence later. When you see what's going on in Canada, and it's only getting worse, you might blame me for leaving. Okay, that's all fun and games. You're going to tell me what to do with my body and my family. Well, we might have to have a disagreement of a matter of opinion, and I think my opinion's better than yours. When you see what's going on in Canada, people, you'll understand. Canada is in the event horizon of a fallen nation. Whether or not it's already beyond that event horizon, it depends on who you ask. And I think if you ask a great many people, they will tell you it is far beyond the event horizon of a failed nation. We're going to do some follow-ups on what's going on in Canada. I was actually going to start with the Canadian stuff, but I figured I'd give a little intro just to let everybody know. If it looks like I look frazzled this morning, that would be why. Ginger Ninja in the house says, will a locals member from Florida please go revoke David's man card? Mail it to me. I will shoot it at the gun range. I'm just an idiot. I just get distracted within 5 seconds. It doesn't matter. I blame the kids. All right, we've got what's to talk about today, and we're going to start with Canada. I'm going to go over the news of Sean Feucht. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it Feucht, the Christian singer who was literally kissing the soil of these United States of Americas when he crossed back over the border. But I want to start with news, everybody, that you didn't know you needed to know. Because while Trump is scoring international trade deals, I've got to assess those before I take an opinion on them. When you have Trump scoring international trade deals, securing a border, forcing the European Union to possibly take their own destiny into their own hands, striking ceasefire deals, What do you have going on in Canada, people? You will not believe the progress that Mark J. Carney, 3-passport carrying globalist whore, is making in Canada. Building Canada strong. Bâtir un Canada fort. C'est incroyable. For anybody who knows where he's at, that's the Confederation Bridge behind him that connects Prince Edward Island to the mainland, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on one second. Let me just double check that. I remember we drove.
If we're going to build a stronger,
What do I hear?
more united economy, and
I hear him
doing
talking.
that,
Where is he?
we are going to need to make it more affordable
Hold
to
on a
travel
second, guys.
around this
You don't
country
hear what I hear
for people,
because I'm
and
hearing
for
the video,
businesses.
but I want to see this. Confederation Bridge, for those of you who don't know, it was an actual model, a marvel. Confederation Bridge, Canada. Here we go. Let's get this Confederation Bridge. We're going to have a little bit of history, geography today. It's a massive bridge. That's telling us the traffic on it. Confederation Bridge, Wikipedia. Here we go. The Confederation Bridge is a box girder bridge carrying the Trans-Canada Highway across the Abiguate Passage of the Northumberland Strait, linking the province of Prince Edward Island to the mainland. Opened May 31st, 1997. We were there like 2 or 3 years after it was built. Marion and I, my wife, now back in the day when we used to take road trips every summer. The 12.9 kilometer bridge, that's 13 kilometers, 8 miles, is Canada's longest bridge and the world's longest bridge over ice-covered water. It's an amazing piece of construction. And now you get to travel it for 50% off because what the government was charging you beforehand is now going to be half price, people. For anybody who wanted to go, anybody who was tempted to go, let me see if I can bring this thing up here. My goodness. Here we go. Bring it. Bada bing. Listen to this, people.
Build a stronger, more... If we're going to build a stronger, more united economy, and we are doing that, we are going to need to make it more affordable to travel around this country.
Just appreciate what he's going to say here. This is Mark J. Carney, the new anointed Prime Minister of Canada. He's got 3 passports, people. Canada, Britain, Ireland. He's a globalist whore. He was literally a globalist banker. WEF Davos speaker, invitee to Bilderberg meetings. I kid you not. Okay, but listen to what he has to say here.
For people and for businesses. And that's what we're doing today. As of August 1st, the day Angelo and his family are now leaving the island, Canada's new government is reducing the toll for all vehicles on the Confederation Bridge by more than half, from $25 to $20.
They are reducing the exceedingly high toll that was already being imposed on all of the people who are traveling the Confederation Bridge that joins Prince Edward Island to mainland Canada. They're reducing it by more than half. Oh my goodness. But listen, because ordinarily they would be collecting that money. But now by not collecting it and bringing it into the coffers of the government, it's good for the economy. Here. I was waiting. I've always been waiting for the day that they were going to have the bridge toll on the Confederation Bridge adjoining Prince Edward Island to mainland Canada. I might just go back and do another road trip this summer because I'm going to save $30 Canadian on the toll, which was already ridiculous.
And we're reducing the tariffs, the fares, by 50% for passengers, for vehicles, for commercial traffic on Eastern ferries. Those Eastern ferries that are federally supported.
Look at Twitchy McGee in the back. Look at Christia Freeland in the back, twitching around like a kid who's getting bored at a concert.
The tariffs, the fares, by 50% for passengers, for vehicles, for commercial traffic on Eastern ferries. Those Eastern ferries that are federally supported, and funding Marine Atlantic to reduce its passenger fares by 50% on both routes and cruise freight rates.
Yes, finally, Mark, making Canadians'
this is
lives
big,
better.
You know, it's big money. Combined, this is going to save users approximately $100 million. And that's $100 million and go back into our economy year after year.
Pause. We'll end it there. $100 million that the government's not going to collect right now. That's going to get back into the economy year after year. That's amazing. It's almost like when the government takes the money, it's not stimulating any economy whatsoever. It's just a black hole of government reaching into your back pocket. Hey, what's that? You want to go to Prince Edward Island this year? $50 to cross this bridge that you already paid for. That is the breaking news out of Canada, everybody. Go now. If any of you were thinking of going and you were deterred by the costs of the toll on the Confederation Bridge adjoining mainland Canada to Prince Edward Island, go visit Canada. But don't have any hopes up of, worshiping in churches or anything, because when the churches in Canada aren't burning, everyone remembers the summer of the record levels of churches that somehow caught fire, arson. When they're cutting tolls on the bridges in Canada, you know what else they're doing in Canada? Desecrating every God-given right that any Canadian has ever had, including the most fundamental, which is the right to protest. Over the weekend, the right to protest, the right to celebrate, worship. Over the weekend, Sean Feucht, a very famous Christian American rocker, MAGA related, ran into some issues in Canada in terms of his ability to perform, his ability to worship, his ability to hold shows. He had permits for concerts on public grounds, federal public grounds, pulled. At first, they said they were pulling the permits because of security concerns. Then they said they were pulling the permits because of his anti-2S LGBTQIA+ and anti-diversity positions. Then when he got accommodations within a church to perform, the Gestapo up in Quebec said, no, you don't get to perform in a church because you don't have the right permits. And then when reminded of the fact that you don't need permits to worship in a church, smoke bombs went off at a church and the police did absolutely nothing. I want to highlight one thing here, by the way. I mentioned it the other day. This is not an ad for this particular company. It is to highlight when smoke bombs go off indoors and filters air them out, it's not without consequence. Here's a Levine LA20 air filter thing. Here, let's just go. When you let off smoke bombs, people, this is what actually happens to AC units, to filtration units. This is amazing, by the way, because it will actually filter out the whatever it is in the chemicals in the smoke that makes it that color. By the way, that stuff goes into your lungs if you're breathing that in. But it ruins air conditioning units. It causes damage. And when Sam was about to do a show, in the middle of a show in a church, and a smoke bomb went off, it caused some damage to the church. And it's not just that it caused damage to the church. Police did nothing to arrest the assailants. It would seem now, following the reporting by Alexa Lavoie at The Voice Alexa, that the church is going to be fined $2,500 for having allowed Sean Feucht to perform. Hey, listen to this.
Lavoie for Rebel News, bringing you the latest on the shocking story that unfolded last Friday at Ministerio's Restoration Church in Montreal. Christian artist and pastor Sean Feucht led a peaceful worship service with live music, but the city of Montreal tried to stop it down, claiming it didn't have the permit and authorization. In reality, it seems their problem wasn't paperwork. It was with who he is. Sean Feucht is an American Christian who stands for traditional values. He's pro-life and, yes, has been seen praying with Donald Trump.
Oh my goodness. He's lucky he got out of Canada, people. He's lucky they didn't find him for some of those retroactive tweets on Twitter land. Okay, sorry. Who's in this picture? It's a good-looking group of people. Okay, hold on. Let's let this play out here.
That's the real reason he was targeted. His crime, refusing to bow to political correctness and standing firm in his faith. The service went ahead anyway.
I want to get to the part where there was smoke. Here we go. Look at this.
Broke out. Radical protesters and Antifa showed up. One agitator made it inside the church.
Look at these people. There you go. Look at this guy right here. That's a winner. Just random middle fingers.
And threw 2 smoke bombs onto the stage. Montreal police, supposedly there to protect the event, seems to have lost control.
Lost control. They didn't lose control, people. It's called anarcho-tyranny, and it's by design, not by accident. It's a feature, not a bug. I'm going to give everybody the link to Alexa Lavoie's tweet on that, and go give her a follow because she has criminally low number of followers on X, and she's getting the best up-to-date news coming out of Canada. They allegedly, I don't know that they have fined the church just yet, but the news on the street is that they're going to fine the church $2,500 for having allowed Sean to perform without a permit. Sean has gotten back to America, people, and I can safely tell you that I share this sentiment, bringing up this tweet here, of what he did when he got back into America. Sean Feucht, at Sean Feucht, back in a flag of America emoji. Never done this before, but I'm doing it now, and he's seen literally kissing the ground. This is Canada, people. This is Canada, where you interview people on the street and they don't have a problem with this. You have people online saying, well, just got to get that permit, eh? Just got to get the proper permits. Let the government authorize whatever you want to do, even if it's performing music within a church to worship. Get that permit and don't question the government. That's what Canada's up to. And I can absolutely share the sentiment that when you come to America, it's a shift in the zeitgeist. You escape the asylum where the patients are running the asylum, and you get to the land of the free, where you have some states that border the zeitgeist of Canada. Commie California, commie New York, Michigan. Even within those states, my goodness, you have a substantial portion of the population that says enough is enough with this nonsense. So Sean Feucht is back in America. From one of his tweets, he said, lawsuits incoming. I don't know what that means, and I don't know what he hopes to attain by filing any lawsuit against whomever he might file them in Canada. But that's what's going on in Canada. Freedom of religion? Hell no. Freedom of speech? Hell no. Freedom of association? Hell no. Freedom of travel? Freedom of interprovincial travel. Canada has made it clear it doesn't give one sweet bugger all about any of these so-called God-given rights that are protected, enshrined in the Charter, in the Bill of Rights, because they are only there and they are only so good in as much as can be tolerated in a free and democratic society. And Canada, in as much as it calls itself free and democratic, has decided all of those rights can be usurped at the flick of a switch. And the police will sit there and not only do nothing, they will threaten the journalists with arrest. Remember what they did to Alexa Lavoie. They will physically assault the journalist. Remember what they did to Natasha. I had her on a while back. And they will sit idly by, twiddling their thumbs, while they watch Antifa pro-Palestinian protesters, for whatever the reason they decided to protest outside a Christian worship service, throw smoke bombs and do absolutely nothing.